Welcome to Sister Chats Refined. We've created a space for real conversations and a place where we can all be seen, heard, and most importantly, inspired. I'm Joy.
And I'm Liz, and we're letting you into our everyday conversations so you're going to get some of this sister energy. So whether you need
a big sis
or a little sis, we got you. Hey everybody, welcome back to Sister Chats Refined podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Joy.
And we're here. We're just going to talk. We're going to talk about something really good today, something that we know well.
Absolutely. I think it's good to kind of talk about, one, just for you all to get to know us a little bit more and like where we came from, what our background is like. And so many of you know, some of you don't, but if you do, we are bona fide PKs.
PKs. And what that means is what?
Preacher's kids.
Preacher's kids. Yep.
So what, I mean, really, even right there, what just went through your mind? Be honest.
Be honest.
Ooh, they the
please.
worst ones.
Yeah, they're the worst ones. Somebody out there like, ooh, I know y'all.
Yeah, and PKs, y'all some freaks. All
I don't
that
like
stuff.
y'all.
All that.
We don't like y'all.
Yeah. So we want to kind of dig into that today and just talk about our experience with being preacher's kids.
Yes.
And then it was just like double time preacher's kids because not only was our dad a pastor, but our mom was also a pastor. So we had a double time for real.
Yes, double time.
And so what was that like growing up? I mean, you know, everybody would think that we were like doing Bible verses daily, that we couldn't eat before each of us recited a Bible verse.
Yeah.
Things like that, you know. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of stuff. And then on top of that, this is a PK, but my mother was the postponing sexual involvement teacher.
Oh, we'll get into that because that's a whole nother.
And so she came to my middle school and she taught that.
Mine too.
I know.
And so, yeah, we'll talk about all this, the fun stuff, but just growing up as a PK, the two of us, how that has impacted our lives. You know, have we bought into the stereotypes?
Right. Okay,
Wouldn't you like to know? No, I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Wouldn't you? But we're going to let you know.
Let's talk about the expectation that comes with being a PK. Like, it's almost like unspoken. Like, you cannot do anything wrong.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. And here's the thing. So there is that expectation. I think, you know, just coming off of our last episode, we were talking about strong friends. It's almost like people expect you to have this like superpower because of who your parents are.
Right. And like, wait, let's just go back. Our parents don't have superpowers either.
They don't have superpowers either, you know.
Okay.
So that is definitely something that growing up in early parts as you're a young child, not so much. Everybody loves you. They think you're so cute. Oh my gosh, this is a pastor's kids. So there's 7 children with this pastor and his wife. And so we were all young. We were all little. We all sang. You know, we look like little ducklings, like 7 ducklings behind my mom most of the time walking into the church. And so it was cute. But then as you grow up, there's a separation of sorts that happens. There's a
separation of sorts. You start to see the people for who they are.
Oh my gosh. We just going, listen.
We're going to go straight in. We start seeing the people for who they are, their true intentions, the manipulation that can happen inside of the church. And then we form our own opinion of what the church, and we're not talking about God, we're talking about what the church and the people in the church
look like.
We form that opinion because we get older and, you know, things change.
Yeah.
We're not so cute.
Yeah.
I mean, we still cute.
You're just under this like microscope.
Like you're under a microscope and it becomes like, I see the way you treat my parents.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yikes.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
This is great. This episode right here, like we just went all the little, like anybody but pastors' kids. Come on.
Come on.
Let's just talk.
I recently saw something on,
oh yeah.
I saw something on Instagram and it was so true. She was saying, you know,
it's the trend.
Course, it's the trend. It's like, she's like, of course I'm a PK. And when I tell you, I could have said everything she said.
And added more.
Because it was so true. And it's crazy that we all live a different PK life, but really don't.
Yeah, it's almost like the same. It is. It's like the same life that we live. And this is not one of those woe is me moments, but it's kind of just an eye opener. Like if you've never been able to sit down and talk to people who like us.
Yeah. Like, then you really would know. So like, I feel like that, like we said, that expectation, it was like an unspoken expectation that we never agreed to.
Absolutely. Like you're literally born into this life.
Yes.
Okay. Where you don't know, but by the age of 14, 15, people are going to be looking at what you wear, how you wear it, who your friends are.
Yes.
Oh, did you know your daughter was here and I saw you here and not the pastor's daughter?
Oh,
Oh
mercy.
my gosh.
And listen, I will say, and I'll take one for the team. It was me, not the pastor's daughter.
I mean,
okay? I don't.
It's okay. We'll get into that, but it's okay. It's a journey that most people take.
Yeah.
Because you were a pastor's daughter.
That the highlight.
There was like a little flashlight on you going through the community.
No, not even a flashlight.
Yeah, it was a spotlight. It was a spotlight following you throughout the community. And
not throughout the community.
Throughout the community. But on all of us, to an extent, we needed to know that there was a healthy boundary that we didn't know.
Yeah.
We really didn't.
Yeah.
And we got to understand a little bit further, like, I'm living my life. This is my journey. And if you put me on a pedestal that I didn't ask to be on,
that's up to you.
That is a
that
you
is
problem.
Totally on you. Yeah.
And that is not me. But it was tough to get there. So like there were unspoken expectations and sometimes spoken expectations that were not fair. So, you were raised in the church with other youth.
Yeah.
That were not held at the same standard as you were.
Right.
And so there were times where we had to maybe not be a part of certain things, not do certain things because of what people would say.
Yeah.
That followed me more than I thought it would.
Wow.
To where it followed me into college, where I just always thought that I needed to hold myself to a higher regard, not because of who I truly was, but because of who I was to other people. And so that did change my experience a little bit. And I did come out of it like, man, I wish I would have just relaxed a little bit sometimes. I wish I would have just taken my time. But because of those expectations, I just married, like I married those expectations. I just was like, okay, I'll be that. And I knew that I didn't feel like I was a little Miss Perfect, but you got that too. Like I went to school and I was bullied a little bit.
Yeah.
In a sense where they're just like, yeah, you think you're perfect. You're this, you're that, and you can do no wrong, or you come from this perfect family, all because, my parents are pastors. And that's not always the case either. We were still family. Yeah. And we still
have family issues, just like anybody else. I think that a part of that responsibility that we were given without actually accepting the responsibility was that we didn't air out everything that was crazy. Yeah. But trust me, there was some crazy parts that we had to iron out ourselves inside of our own household. I think that comes with just a personal space type deal. So I think those expectations and of overcoming the stereotypes of like, oh, she's the worst, or oh, she's perfect. Overcoming those stereotypes do come in the journey of you just walking it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have to get to a point where just like, I've got to do this. And you can't care about what other people really think because they don't really know the truth.
No.
And especially when you know that people are just basing their opinion on what they think or what they have observed about you or what they've made up in their mind about you. It's not real. Yeah. So it's like, I'm living this life. You're not.
Yeah.
And so let me live it out. There were times where I would feel an obligation that wasn't given to me. And our parents were not even people that were just like, you got to be this way.
No, not at all.
There was not a time, and I tell people out there like, oh, I know y'all had to be in church. But there was never a time when they didn't
make us go to church.
Yeah.
No.
They didn't. Now, they didn't say you can go or not. It was just something that was so a part of us.
Yeah.
That it was just like we were going to church, we were there, and we were active too. Yeah. So it's not like we were just sitting there, but we were active. And we wanted to be. I love the fact that they allowed us that freedom and that opportunity to join them if we wanted to.
Yeah.
And to just be a part as opposed to being like, I'm getting drug everywhere, And so I think that helped. I think that's helped us now even.
Like, okay, so kind of like going along with the motions of being a preacher's kid and like seeing how we're supposed to be. Do you feel like that impacted our relationship with God?
I definitely had to get a relationship on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because as a preacher's kid, you're so used to seeing your parents helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was their job. Dad was at Man's courtroom appearance, you know, you know, dad was up early.
Dad was on that phone at 3 a.m.
Yeah, he's
when
at
Miss Bon
yes,
called.
he's at Miss Edna's surgery at 4 a.m. Like he's beating the family there.
Yeah.
I think when you get to that point where you understand that you're lending your parents to however many people, like most people don't have to share their parents beyond maybe work.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about 24/7
them being on
real
call.
care.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and we had old school pastor parents.
They coming down to Terry with you.
Listen, they didn't have a team of ministers and stuff with them that they could be like, you over the hospitality, you over this, you over the
hospitality committee.
Yeah, no, it was them, and so they
I
were
was a part of the hospitality committee.
Liz was in hospitality for a while. I'm not sure.
That was later on. But yeah,
it's so funny. But watching them do that, just taking a step back, knowing that not necessarily that we didn't come first, but we also knew that at any time, any juncture, someone else could call. And I said that to say that I believe we carry that over into getting our own relationship with God, because my parents were helping everybody else try to get this connect with God and get this relationship with God.
Yeah.
That I feel like PKs have this thing where we're not at the altar call at the end of the service.
No, we're either singing.
Yeah, I mean,
you're helping.
It's not for me.
And it's not,
it's so weird. It's like you have this thing. It's like it's not for me.
I think the first time I went to the altar, I was like, "This is legit weird."
It felt like
this is weird. Like, and it wasn't even weird because I felt weird. It was weird because I thought somebody's gonna be like, "What is she going through?
I know.
Why is she at the altar?
Like,
what is? Hey, I know she was doing something. Yeah, I must have been right.
Yes.
Like it was. I was more worried about what everybody thought behind me than literally why I went to the altar.
Like why you went up there.
Yeah,
the heat was on your back.
The heat was on my back
more so than what was supposed to be in front of you. What you were going to. That carries on.
Yes, because like you know you're just like, should I? Because at that moment you're like, I should move because this is what I feel in my spirit. But man, I shouldn't move because I just directed this song.
Yeah, what do they think I did to be down here? And it's so wild because if you are familiar with this type of church, the culture of church, after the pastor preaches, there's usually for those who may not know, there's a call to one, either be prayed for, or what they would say is to come up and be saved, or how, but there's a call, recommit, rededicate, lay hands, whatever it is, whatever you need, come on up and we're going to pray. And so that's what we're talking about, that experience. And years. And it was like, if the pastor's child did come up, it was like, everybody was like, oh,
mercy. And you got that rub. Why did you get the hard rub on your back?
It was just
like, come on,
like,
child.
I'll stay in my seat next time and do what I need to do there. I will not be up here. And then, because I'm like, I know y'all, did y'all want to come? I'm sorry. Okay. Like,
I bet some of y'all PKs ain't been to the altar yet.
You ain't been,
y'all
but you might need to go. Yeah, you might need to go.
All right. Mm-hmm. You ain't been to the altar. And listen, I get it. I totally get it. That expectation of not needing to go to the altar because simply who your parents are.
And that altar is representative of help.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not just saying like the altar, because we know beyond the altar, like you don't have to walk physically up to an altar for anything to necessarily happen.
Right.
But just the
symbolism.
That help, or just asking for help, or just needing someone to agree with you on something. It's a big deal. And it's like, not that you don't want to bother your parents, you know what I mean? But it's like,
they're tired. And some people have the testimony of, you're just mad because you had to share your parents. I want to be very clear. No one's mad because they had to share their parents. We're just saying that.
Says that?
Somebody said that. I saw that in a comment. They're just like, you're just mad because you had to share your parents and you bitter. Like, no, bro, no, sis, I'm not bitter. And we just want to be very clear. Yeah. That's not it. Like, if there's a call on someone's life, that's the call in your life. Like, I'm not mad that you went to work today in AT&T, okay? All right, that's what you had to do.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not mad about that. So just go ahead and work. So,
but to understand, like, what my parents were doing was just a part of their life. And then it became part of our life as well. Mm-hmm. And then growing up from that time, it was a really good, for me, even now, just looking back, it was a really good foundation.
Absolutely. For
where I'm headed, and know that there's more. There's so much more beyond just the church. It's so much more beyond. It's just so much more.
Yeah.
But that foundation was so critical in my upbringing in my life, that the stereotypes and stuff that I look back at, I can laugh at now, because I do see some PKs that struggle with who they are and what they want to be, because they do feel like they didn't have a choice. Like this life chose them. They didn't choose this life. Right. And I don't want to go to church, and I don't even believe in this God that they talking about. And there's so much competition, and there's so many things out there that I've seen people just go the opposite way. Yeah. And it's so easy to do that, especially when they want to be rebellious. Yeah. Like, you know what? No, I want to.
Yeah, because there's a time where you have to be so like tight that when you get a taste of loose, you like, you know what? Forget it.
Yeah, I'm going for it. And then they want to say all the preachers' daughters are, bad, and the guys are, and in some cases that's true, but it also is with other people's kids too. Yeah. It's like,
and I'll speak from the youngest child perspective. So I had like 6 siblings come up before me in the church. So people expected me to kind of like mirror some of my siblings, and I did. There's some things that I did that some of my siblings did, but I walked my own path.
Yes, she did.
I walked my own path, and I still do. I walk my own path because I am none of my siblings. I am me, and I've always been a very big person on, I don't want to tell you something that is not true. So if it's not my intention to do this, like, it's cool that you want me to come to this meeting. Are you coming to this meeting? Are you coming down? No, I'm not.
No.
Like, no, I won't be there. No. And people would be sitting there like
you waiting for this.
You said what?
Listen, if you're waiting for the cookie cutter answer from Liz, be ready to be disappointed, because she's going to say no.
I'm going to say,
you coming to choir? So no.
Listen, my first response in my mind, I believe so deeply within myself. If my first response is that I do not want to do it, that is the response.
That's the answer.
That is the answer. Because I feel like, if there was an inkling in me that said, oh man, you might do this, my first response wouldn't be no. Yeah. Like, my first response is no, because I just don't want to. Don't ask me why, because you're going to get just a no. So I feel like, I walked my own path. And by the time my parents got to me, I know they was tired. They was tired. They was tired of kids.
They were tired.
They were tired. They did an amazing job with me. But like, I'll say, my older siblings are like, girl, you got away with everything.
Listen, everything. I would come back from college. I'm like, Mom, you do know that women's chorus is not happening at 10 p.m. You do know that, right? She's like, well, she went to women's chorus. This is for school. And I'm like, Mom, they're not having no events.
I did, but this is the thing. And don't do this. And if anyone young is watching this, I did go to women's chorus. It just wasn't at 10 o'clock.
Right. She went at some point of the day.
So I did go at some point of the day.
Right after school.
It was over at 7, but I still need to be out till 10. Listen.
I'm like, where is Liz? I'm serious, come home from break. I'm like, where is Liz? Like, well, she's with her friends. They had they were going after cheerleading. They went, I'm like, Mom, like, this girl is wild and all the way out in these streets. Like, you have got to rein her in. And so I would have these conversations.
You got to rein her in.
Yeah,
she did. I was so mad when she came back to have
these conversations. She would hate when I came back, but I saw everything. But I also knew that she needed this freedom. But at the same time, listen, Liz had fun, okay? We just leave it at that. Liz had a fun time. Listen. And I probably could have, maybe if we were closer in age, I don't even know. We're so different in that wise.
We're extremely different in a lot of different ways. Like, in that way. Like, we're extremely different in that way. And, over time, I've become very much more dialed back.
Refined, if you will.
I'm refined, if you will.
But yes.
So, okay. Relationships. So I had a couple good girlfriends. So it didn't really impact my relationship, but those girlfriends were also in church.
Yeah, we had church friends, and then the infamous youth group. Sometimes that can go really good, or it's really
Our youth group was great.
We had a great youth group, but there were those times I was just telling my daughter, because she was like, do people still go to youth church camps? And I was like, yeah, but you ain't going. And immediately I was like, you ain't going to no church camp, because I know what happens at church camp. And she's like, what? But I do remember the overnighters, the retreats, all that stuff. Like, you were just trying to go to find your next boo thing, and it was in another conference or whatever. But it was on and popping.
You knew you only saw this person in the denomination we were in. We only saw this person maybe. What was quarterly conference? Quarterly?
No, it was no. It was annual, once a year, and then you had your midwinter meetings and things. I'm putting the denomination out there, but you had those, out there, and so you had those fun times, and it was good. It was a fun time, but at the same time, how did that impact relationships going forward in love relationships, boyfriend girlfriend relationships, and friendships? you're automatically assumed to just, we've talked about this, like, wait till marriage, you know, you're just playing it safe. And so this is where Liz began to talk about, my mom has worked in the community for many, many years. Mm-hmm. And she took on a position within, I think it was within the Urban League. In when we were in elementary and middle school. Yeah. And that position was postponing sexual involvement. Yeah. And she would come for a good 6 weeks.
To our health class.
It was our health class that me and Liz were both in. At one point, I was first able to experience a beautiful experience first. And then Liz, a couple years later, she came through and experienced mom with sex talk.
And it was
in front
so
of our friends, in front
embarrassing.
of anybody that we ever could have liked.
Oh my gosh. And my mom wasn't an embarrassing teacher. It was just embarrassing. Like, first, I'm a pastor's kid.
Already.
And they're already looking at me crazy.
That's on your forehead.
Then my mom comes in to talk about not having sex.
That's another one on your forehead.
It's like, dang.
So
like,
you just...
Not only...
Bruh.
Dang, bruh.
I mean,
bruh.
So I was literally just telling Avery this the other day. I was like, if guys, like, obviously we were too young really to be having those types of experiences, but mom wanted to get everyone ready. You know, she wanted to make
and mom,
sure
you
that...
were a great teacher.
She's wonderful, okay? People loved her too. Like, if you ever meet my mom, she's like a mother of mothers. Like, she is a mother, okay?
Mother.
Like, she was born to be a mom. She's an amazing mom, right?
Yes.
However... in this class, she would, you know, make sure that you knew what the diseases look like, that, you know, you wanted to not involve yourself in sexual encounters and things like that. You know, she would just really hone in on it. We're sitting right there, you know, everyone around us, like, you're going to your mom's class today? Like, yeah, we got it again today. Come on.
I mean, and mom was also a very direct person. So I'll give myself as an example. You know, I got pregnant when I was 18. Mm-hmm. So I was not married at 18.
Told you they needed a realer. I'd try and...
I got pregnant when I was 18 years old. And, you know, this was something that, you know, my mother announced to the church because she didn't want people talking about me behind my back. So she cleared that. She cleared the room.
She went ahead and got that.
She went ahead and cleared that
right?
with them. And then it was like this. It was crazy because, you know, I knew people were talking about me. I knew people were saying things behind my back. But at that moment, after she told everybody was so sympathetic. Mm. They were like giving me hugs. People that did not hug me were giving me hugs, and I'm not a hugger. So I'm like, now, Miss blah, blah, blah. You know you don't like me.
Miss blah, blah, blah.
Like, come on. And it became almost like we were saying in one of the episodes, finally.
Oh, okay.
She got caught.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So
it was a finally moment. It wasn't genuine. It was more like, almost like, not I told you so, but like, it happened. Yeah. So like the downfall like of one up, because I think I was the first to have a baby out of wedlock at that age.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think I was the first. Mm-hmm. So it was like, it was almost like, I mean, again, I cannot stress to you this much. I don't care. I did not care. Okay, but, whatever.
But so many other PKs have a different experience because some people that get pregnant and they're in the church, they have to literally come in front of the church and apologize, first of all. Yeah. And then tell everybody, obviously, what they did, what happened, apologize. And then have some sort of punishment. You can't be a part of anything.
So
you need
sit
to
down.
Sit down. You know, basically punishment. Yeah. And the damage that does
is crazy.
It's absolutely insane.
It's humiliating. I think that the one thing that God gave me from a very young age was the ability to be confident. Even in that moment, as humiliating as it could have been, it wasn't to me because I had already lived with it myself. Okay, so with me, I'm living with it. I know, like, hey, you know, I'm about to have a whole baby. I made this decision for myself. And so I think me living with it gave me a different type of like girth, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah. It gave me, you know, the confidence that I needed within myself. And also my parents embraced me in that situation. They embraced it, you know, like, let's be clear. It wasn't first like, oh yes, you're pregnant. Yeah. It wasn't like that. It was like, okay, let us digest this.
Yeah, let us process this.
Let's process it. Let's see how it's going to work. And we're going to support you the best way that we know how. And I really can't thank God enough for that type of support.
Because everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't have that. And so when you think about other people that went through that experience and how just because this is shown, I guess, a fall. This is very visible. You can't hide this one.
That's good.
And so we're really quick, or people are really quick to want to expose and use as an example something that is physically seen. But there's so much that has also happened.
You about to preach.
I'm just saying that people deal with and that they have done that nobody can see. Yet you are just as tainted. You need to also be up here as well. So that's the difference. I think when we think about that and the position that we put people in when they have titles or when they're a part of a specific group, as PKs or even the politicians' children, things like that, understanding that they are no different, you know what I'm saying? And when things happen, right. And it's based off the choices that they made, just like everything that you have done is based off the choices that you have made. And so when we look at growing up being a PK and understanding that it has helped shape us into the women that we are today, to be able to look at people and see them for who they are and what they need beyond any other thing, and that has helped. And I will never, ever shun that experience. Right. I know that I was born for the specific time that I was in, to the specific people that I was born to. And for that, I am grateful, and I'm going to get everything out of it that I need to.
Absolutely. Every experience.
Every single
experience is something that has pushed us forward in our growth. And I mean, encourage you guys, this goes beyond PKs, but your experiences are not meant to keep you down. They are meant to push you forward in all of that. Take what you've experienced and what you've learned and find a new segue, find a new path to make that experience count. And that's the biggest thing. Make that experience count. I mean, from that, I became, when I first started being an influencer, I wanted to speak to the single mothers because for a long time, I was a single mom. So it was like, you know what? This can flip for you. This can change for you. It's a mindset change. You are exactly where you need to be. Now you can flip that for a positive. So, I mean, definitely came out of it with a positive outcome. And, I'm grateful.
Right.
I'm grateful. It didn't have to be like that. But I'm grateful.
And here we are. So, really, guys, until next time, this was really fun. I hope you got to know us a little bit better, got some laughs with us.
And if you want to know who was the worst kid, go ahead and ask, and we'll give you some scenario and situations.
Was the worst kid. That would only come from the youngest.
If you want to know, it was. Wait a minute.
No, I'm just saying you would only pose that question. Like,
from the youngest. I was gonna say, now wait a minute. I wasn't the worst child. Now wait a minute.
Now we wouldn't even call anybody the worst.
I beg to differ. I'm playing. Guys, until next time, we appreciate you guys tuning in and just having a laugh with us, talking with us about our childhood experiences, and even right now, what we're experiencing.
Yeah. Look forward to more. We'll be back.
All right. This is Liz.
And Joy.
So until next time, live in truth, love with intention, and lead by example.
Stay connected with us on our social media platform, Sister Chats Pod, for more inspiration and behind the scenes fun.
Remember, you have the power to shape your life and the lives of those around you. This is Joy.
And this is Liz, signing off.